Hello, everybody. So it's time for Diary of a Salesman. I think it is part number 5. So as you can see, I first of all I worked on my setup. I realized that a lot of the resolution and stuff was not that ideal. So I talked to some people, and now I use manual focus instead of autofocus. I have no idea if this is really better, so we will see it, and maybe you can give me some feedback if you like this way more. So what are we talking about? Let's first do a small recap. Last time I talked about a serious mess up that I did in a deal because I didn't talk to the right people and never did a deal. It was in my time at Center Device. And what I want now to talk about is what happened after that, because I was not like at Center Device forever. And I think a lot of people ask me, when do I get to the startup things that I had at Instana and so on. And yeah, we will get there, and we start with this today. I take you on the journey because I didn't go from Center Device directly to Instana. I went from a Center Device to another company, which is my hometown company. I did also my training, which is CodeCentric. And what I do not forget is, because I liked it a lot to do this Fuck Up Friday thing, I will also tell you a little fuck up story about my outbounding. That was, do not ask, it was awkward, but it was a good lesson learned. But step by step. So first, when I was like 2.5 years at Center Device, I sit down together with all of the responsible people, and we decided that that we go into different directions, because I was more interested in starting something new. I wanted to learn something new, and also Center Device was more focused on bringing in focus not the enterprise sales, rather than bringing the PLG, the product-led growth sales, into place. So this is why I need to go somewhere else. And luckily, my family at CodeCentric took me with open arms, and I went back and was responsible there still for bringing in Center Device in various projects that we had at CodeCentric. Was an interesting time. It was like a bridge time. It was not very clear what the task was. I had been also responsible in general for the whole sales of the document solutions area there, and started to bring this into order, started to thinking of how to structure the pipeline, how to bring more maturity in there, while focusing on generating projects with Center Device. This lasted only, I think, when I remind correctly, 9 months. And it was a beautiful sunny day. I was in Solingen, sit at my desk, and this name you hear quite often, but Mirko knocked at the door. And actually, it was not a door, because we have open spaces. But he said, like, come on, let's go into the meeting room, and let's have a quick discussion. So he said, first of all, we just small chat, and then he asked me, like, okay, Marcel, tell me what you think is forecasting, and tell me what you think is pipeline, and how do you structure this? And I don't know. I felt like, okay, easy. So I went up there and said, like, well, here's a deal, here's that, blah blah blah, and look, I put this somewhere here. And then he said, like, yeah, but what stage is this deal? To whom are you talking there? And do you have a technical exam? And he started like with hammering questions at me. I was like, oh, holy Lord, to like the majority of these, I have no answer. I literally had no answer. And this had shown me that on the way to this point, I didn't do a bad job, I would say, because it was still successful. But it shows me that there's much more outside. So if you want to do real sales, if you want to really scale this and develop there's so much to learn. I was realizing I know nothing. It's not true, but quite frankly, it was clear to me that I need to learn much more. And he said, like, look, his idea was, we have some legends on board on Instana, and from when I talk about the legends, I talk about Frank Swain and Jens Steinborn, who had been there already. And I was like, oh, blessing to me. I talked to both of them. I know Jens from the time before. And both were impressed, but also said, like, yeah, you can learn a lot. And luckily, I got the chance that everybody accepted, everybody nodded. And I was, beside Jens, as the first non-managing, non-technical hire in Europe at Instana. And yeah, then the journey began. So one of the first things at my first days that I have that I need to learn was, I think I started on a Wednesday, and I had some time to look into some tools. So I remember Enrico, when I remind correctly, has shown me the CRM and how it's structured. So it was a lot of learning tools and how they sort it out. And then we got into the first forecast call. So, and it was like, I got just like on purpose a bit hit cold, kind of. I'm not sure how to phrase it best. It was that Frank said, Marcel, so what's your pipeline? And I was like, what pipeline? I'm just here like for 3 days. I thought, oh God, I looked like begging in the Zoom meeting. I looked to Jens. I was like, say something, help me. And Jens said, like, yeah, Marcel, what's your pipeline? I was like, okay, yeah. I pulled up the CRM and said, like, look, I got these first deals, and try to navigate around it. And I mean, they knew that I can't deliver what they expect. So they turned it around and said, like, look, Marcel, how we do it is X, Y, that. So they took me by the hand and explained me, like, we do the forecasting always in the categories closed, commit, forecast, and upside, which means closed is everything which is a closed deal. The commit is everything which is closed plus commit. The forecast is closed, commit, cumulative. So very easy to understand. And also they explained to me, I mean, not they, Mirko explained to me, he will never accept and want to hear revenue again, because the only KPI that counted for us these days was ARR. Honestly speaking, I didn't hear too much about ARR because we didn't look at ARR in this way at my stages before, my place before. So I was like, okay, ARR, how do we calculate it? And for those who are not familiar, it's annual recurring revenue. It's not a standardized KPI, so you can define it different. But in general, it's like when you have a deal and it's $1,000, it's a $12,000. You divide it by 12 is you get like the monthly $1,000, but in general, a $12,000 dollar deal for 12 months is 12K ARR. If you have a 6 months deal for 500, so the total would be $3,000. The ARR would be 6,000, depending if you are allowing to upscale it to 12 months. It's a bit of a different thinking you need to get used to, and you need to follow the patterns that your company is telling you. But so sorry for the complication. It was a bit confused. I do this all without a script and stuff, so bear with me. I want to keep it as natural as possible. So anyhow, so I understood, okay, this is ARR. This is how we protocol thing and report numbers. I understand the pipeline and how do we forecast. So we keep down the numbers. We look into every single deal. We started to dig deeper into the deals. That means, to whom are we talking to? Are we in a POC? What is missing to get into a POC? Do we know if they have budget? Like all of the common phrases, from Matic, Mapic, SWOT, whatever analytic that you want to use. And I started like reading all of the books and here and there. And I must disappoint you, right? I did not got stuck with one of the methodologies. I used kind of from all of these methodologies, I used the most important points for me to be able to start creating a model that gives me the security to be able to answer all the questions to my managers when we talk about the deals and the forecast, and to also make it as efficient as possible. Over administrating is just like, was it, especially at this time, right? I wasn't a manager or something. I was just an AE. So, and by the way, I was an inside sales representative at the beginning. So yeah, I understood that, and yeah, the next thing that I also learned were like sales stages. I mean, you can forecast. You have like the forecast categories that we talked about. Remember, commit, forecast, upside, and then you have the sales stages. And I hope I get them out of my hat. So we had the first stage was when this were kind of lead, like the Evo qualification lead stage. And the next thing was, we had not so many, luckily, was evaluation POC. The next was, what was the next? Whatever. The best one was, by the way, closed won and not closed lost in the end. But what I want to say is all of these stages had certain criteria that need to be fulfilled, or that there was a definition set of criterias where the best was that you know the most of it to be able to put it into the next stage. For example, into evaluation and proof of concept stage, you only can get when you are really there, which means you need to have spun up an eval environment, or at least handed out a license. I mean, you need to define this, you need to talk to the people, and you should have scoped it. Without this, you can't be in the evaluation stage. And these were the things, the very basic thing that I learned from scratch. And again, do not think I didn't have this before, but I didn't execute on it in this kind of structured level to have really this frame that you need when you want to be successful. And this was, I mean, this learning in the first weeks and months was so crazy. It was, I don't know, it felt like years of learning densed and condensed into a friction of time, right? So, okay, I was settled, and at the stage we have been with the company was that at the very end we were doing a classical. We had one SDR, Lee Smith, and I learned a lot from Lee. So linking you here, so maybe we can have a chat about the whole SDR topic. Could be maybe a nice sidekick, by the way. So Lee, if you hear me, go for it. It was Lee was bringing me deals. That means, or leads, was bringing me leads where I have the possibility to talk to people, which was kind of before, if you remember, I was a one-man show, right? Which means all of these pre-work and then the work with the deals and the post-work I did myself. So now I had somebody bringing me meetings. That was awesome. Something spun up in my calendar. I got my beloved and best working colleague, Peter, on the stage. He was a pre-sales technical sales guy. I worked with him like for many years then, also at other companies. And what we did is we did the sales. I led kind of the sales role in it, and he was a tech role. So that is something that I want to tackle in the next meeting, where I will dedicate to talk about having a first meeting. And because, to spoil it a bit, the power of a first meeting is so crucially important. It's out of this world, because I think this is where you. I just think the first conversation you have with a contributor partner, a possible user of your product, is the first meeting. And this is like, you must really not mess it up, because it can mess up it from the very first second. And short upfront statement is, humans buy from humans. What I mean with this is that if you do a bad first impression, you can have maybe the best product in the world. If there's no severe pain that they must buy a product or whatever, they will probably buy because they don't like you. That's a fact. I strongly believe in this. So anyhow, this is a topic for the next session. This is super interesting. But before that, not just Lee was so kind to bring me meetings, I also need to do it myself, which means I got a list of contacts from my own and also from Mirko and from colleagues and from the database in the CRM. And I was like, okay, Marcel, like, look, here's the list. You got your network. We as our CRM, here are old deals, whatever. Go for it and get business, which means outbound. It's just nothing else. It's outbound. And let me give you the fuck up story, right? Back in the days there, we had I consolidated all the records that I was allowed to target, and it was like approximately 8K of possible people I can contact. It took a while to stick this together, but this is nothing interesting because it was just getting data consolidated from my from the CRM and everywhere. And so what I did is I said, hey, question, how do I do this? How do I contact them? I mean, mail them. Okay. Pretty hard to mail them. 8,000 people, right? So what I did is, let's do it this way. I need a tool. I asked, who knows the tool? Frank luckily said hey, I know somebody at Outreach. So I looked at Outreach and I didn't know A/B test or whatever. I just took Outreach and said, interesting. So I really, from scratch, the first thing I can tell you, if you want to do any mail campaigns or whatever, you need a tool that is automating things, right? Whatever personalized message, etc., etc. It's depending on the use case. And yes, maybe now in 2024, a classical cold mailing is not state of the art anymore. I'm with you there. But back in the days, it was still a thing, right? And I still think that it's partially also nowadays a thing. But anyhow, so I got the tool. I learned it. I set it up. I created a so-called mail sequence. Did a test left and right, and then I said hey, okay, what's next? So how can I scale this up? Because at the beginning, I was convinced that I must personalize it to death to really qualify it. So I took the list, I qualified, I prioritized, and I said I top-notch contact 2 people every day and follow up and use social media. And I got some suspicious looks for this because there's the people who know the business a bit were thinking well, Marcel, this won't work. It's too slow. You need to fill in the funnel and you must make it bigger to get more outcome. It doesn't work like this. I was like, no, believe me, it's strongly personalization. That's where I think I'm good at. I started it. I did it for 4 weeks, and I can tell you the outcome was complete shit, which means I had literally almost no conversation, no engagement, nothing. So I got back like a small puppy and said well, that was maybe not the right approach. And then the next step was, how can I scale it up? I said, okay, I will send it to more. And with more, here's the fuck up Friday story. I said, let's just write all 8,000. I mean, where's the problem? Let's put them in the sequence and it's easy. So I did that. And not that just my mail provider freaked out. No, it was impossible to kind of manage the whole workload that was generated because I had tasks in there that said call people. That means at the third day, I tried to call 8,000 people. Doesn't work, right? So I messed up the complete list, to be very honest, because it was barely usable. The data was broken. Oh gosh, it was horrible because for me, this was one source of getting up to speed. And yeah, so lesson learned, think through what you do with your goal. Like we talked about, when you have existing customers, it's super beneficial. So if you have a list of your network, if it's CRM, utilize it. Do not spam the people, right? Also think of your workload. Again, it was actionism. It was a learning for me, right? And I circled back, I cut off the sequence, I stopped it. It didn't create too much craziness. And then I put it in brackets. I did very categorize it more smart. And I was able to fix this whole mess. It was a lot of work. It was a great learning, and then I really pimped it. I created multiple sequences. I created different pitch mails. I sent it to a friction of people to also see what works, what not works, which messaging is fine. To certain people that hit our ICP, remember, ideal customer profile. I personalized the mails. I approached them differently, maybe with a call first, so that they know me. I also go different ways. Sometimes you use the short message like SMS. Now you would use WhatsApp. And this helped me like to crucially increase like the engagement rates. And fun fact, I do not know I tried to look up the numbers, but I didn't have them complete. But with these kind of, let's roughly say 8K of contacts that I have, also remind, a lot of these contacts, I think there was a bump rate of 23%, which means they were all typos, whatever. So not everything was gold and shiny. But I could generate, I think in total, when you think of close to 1 opportunities after 6 to 12 months, it was 23, which sound less, but it was very successful because there were 3 deals in there, which later on grew 6 digits over 36 months. So again, it was one part of the story. It was just the beginning. It was just showing how it fails. But it also shows you, when you recap of what I talked last time about talk to the people, just do it, right? It's how to say, like, impossible is nothing. You just need to start and use use the low-hanging fruits, think of it twice, learn from the people that have like the knowledge, but also learn by walking and running yourself, right? Startup is like, it's crunch time. Just go for it. Try out the service. Normally a good leadership will not chop your head off. They will really, really be happy if you just try out things and try to prove yourself. So yeah, that's for now. I hope you had some fun. I hope you like the quality of the video. Sometimes I look up because I'm having the screen there. It's a bit bumpy maybe. But in a nutshell, it's time for the weekend. And next time we will talk about first meetings. And again, crucial role. Maybe I get a guest speaker or whatever. I don't know. But I will definitely talk about the first meeting, about the first meeting deck, about the power of the conversation, how you should talk in a first meeting. And I think this will be very interesting to look at. And another point that we either next week or the week after will tackle is then the proof of concept timing, when you and how you work together with your tech colleagues, and how you can optimize it to align it to the commercial strategy on that. So again, thank you for every click, for everybody who's listening in. I'm doing this now for a couple of weeks. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it more and more. And I hope some of these stories will help you to take into your daily work. And thank you very much. And with this, I'm out. Enjoy your day.